I love Caleb's story for a lot of reasons. And it's because to me, in a lot of ways, he stands out, not as superior, but different. You and I have spoken before about how for Caleb, and this is kind of getting into my, what does all this mean for like present day Caleb and things of that nature. We've talked about how Caleb doesn't really have a quote unquote divine form. Now, before everybody goes off on me about the Netherlord and divinity and all of that, divine people don't reincarnate like this. Caleb wasn't divine. Caleb was a human soul that was so strong that he challenged the cosmological order and held it hostage for a very, very long time. But he was still human. He was still human. The other LIs all have a pretty much divine form. With Zayne, it's absolutely explicit. He is the god of annihilation and the emissary. Sylus is divine in that he is associated with more of the monstrous divine. He is the fiend and whether that's expressed via a dragon form or a vampire form with some really neat wings, it's the fiend. That is who he is at the core. And then you've got Rafayel, who is the sea god. He is and whether we're going to come down on the side of he is born as the physical avatar body of the sea god's divine power, or whether he is legitimately the god of the sea reincarnating over and over and over again, that's a long debate. And then you had Xavier, who is immortal and, king of the undead and things of that nature. Caleb is always human. And the reason why I bring this up is I think it comes into play with why all the other myths in the third round connected to other myths. Sea God connected to God of Tides, God of Annihilation tied all of his myths up. Xavier's myth connected back to Light Seeker. Abyssal Sovereign connected back to his dragon myth. They all connected. Caleb's didn't. Not at the surface. I don't think his story is one where he can have a connection like that because he is human, because he reincarnates, because of the memory themology, the theme about identity and memory with him. I think what the connection is the pattern of the lives. He and MC are born together. He wants to protect MC, so he basically defies all of creation in every single iteration, trying to save her. It doesn't go well. Shit gets real. And either they die together, one of them dies, or they cross each other on a bridge and live knowing the other is all the way over there and they can never touch them again. I think the connecting in this case isn't something explicit like Sea God being the literal extension of God of Tides just a couple of centuries later. It's about the pattern, the cycle of it all. The birth, the death, the memory, and Caleb's role within that in adjacent to MC and how he orbits her and how those patterns go. Yes, they're repeated lines, but they're repeated thematic lines. We are born from the same source. We are two flowers from the same stem. It's the theme.
And when she gives the speech of "I'm your sister and I will protect you," that is actually explicit what he says to her.
Yes.
In the main story.
So I think it's more about the setup. It's repeating the same almost karmic destiny over and over again, trying to change the ending of the story. Mm-hmm. I think that's the connection. Not an explicit extension of the other myths. It's about the repetition of the cycle and the connection between the two.
I think that's fair to say. I think we might see an explicit connection later, but for now, I almost feel like we're still early on. I stand by my aspect of Sylus and Caleb. This doesn't feel like a third myth because of Relentless Conqueror and Colonel being a part of the main story as it is,
Mm-hmm.
So I still think there's potential. I like to think this is maybe their first foray together in the universe. Is what my heart says,
Oh, so you think it's more like with the OT3, they're a little further along in their story timeline than we are
Yeah.
with Caleb and Sylus, because technically neither. Well, Xavier does have a present day myth in Lumiere.
Mm-hmm. Lumiere is weaved into the world, as far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong, into the Chrono Shift catastrophe as well.
Yes,
Like,
because he saves her.
because he saves her, right? So I
Mhm.
feel like we're seeing, like, that one to me doesn't explicitly happen just in the moment. And I think it's because Xavier's fucking, 200 years old.
200,
As one
300, who knows how old
is.
that man is.
Yeah. So I don't necessarily put Lumiere in that. Like, we are literally living Relentless Conqueror and Colonel Caleb right fucking now. Lumiere is
Yes.
like, I kind of retired the fucker.
What was
Smoking
that?
a
Do that again?
cigarette. He's like in the back of a bar, like smoking a cigarette, like, yes, those were the good old days in the nest. Remember this one time during that fucking Chrono Shift catastrophe? Yeah. That's exactly how my brain goes. Uh, so I would kind of challenge that. No, like I think they're in different parts of their story than the OG3. Which is not a bad thing. It's just I think it's different.
No, I don't think it's a bad thing either, but I do think it's an interesting take that
Just full of interesting takes.
I know, that's why I like discussing these things. That's why we created a podcast. Um But I think that's a fair judgment to make. But a part of me, I was like, I want to know the story. You know me. I always want to know the story. So I was like, I wonder how they're going to tie the third myth into the other two, because I'm trying to figure out the connective tissue
Mhm.
of how are they all intertwined, because there's clearly an intertwining of all the various myths in and of themselves in their own individual timelines, separate timelines, bitches. Um but
Well, here's my question. I like to think of the game of Love in Deep Space as us sort of playing through the fractal library. And we know how big that fucking library is. For you, as a
Mhm.
player, do you need them all to intertwine at some point? Why why can't we have AU Netherlord Caleb?
Because I think I'm looking for the overarching narrative thread. Like, cool, this is a great episode, but what's the overall series plot line? That's I think that's how I look at it, is
You
that
can't have the themes like you just talked about. You need like, I need this to connect. It must.
well, I think for Caleb the themes are the connection,
Okay.
not so much his identity as the Netherlord, or Zayne is the god of annihilation. That matters. The emissary matters. That role matters. And that's what connects him across all these different iterations, AUs, and whatever, because he shows up and goes, well, this experiment failed. Goodbye. And ends it all.
He's our
That
little Sailor
matters.
Saturn.
He's a little Sailor Saturn. He shows up and ends it all and just, etch a sketches it back to the beginning. Raphael being the sea god matters. It's the reason why this all kicked off to begin with, because Raphael learned, oh, you weren't talking a metaphor when you said she gives me her heart. You meant that literally. Xavier's identity is the Prince of Philos and where he comes from, again, critical to why they're in this mess. So there are hints of a quote unquote first sin, first transgression, the first time shit went off the rails. I'm trying to figure out what that was with Caleb. Obviously, man made a sacrifice that wasn't his to make, and it just screwed the pooch. So was it the
Hey,
Netherlord? Is
bro,
that
maybe we don't. Maybe we don't do that.
maybe we actually, I don't know, talk to her, let her ask some more follow-up, encourage the follow-up questions, Caleb. Or
Hey,
maybe you
buddy.
ask some
Buddy,
follow-up
agency
questions.
is cool. Agency is cool. And
Like,
also, you don't, there's a part of me that absolutely wants to be like, hey, bud, you do know you don't have to live your life for someone else. And it's okay to live your own with someone, not for someone. And I think
exactly.
that's
Like,
also part of Caleb's tragedy is it's like, hey, buddy, You're more than just replacement body parts. It's cool. You matter.
Exactly. Like Caleb's identity is wrapped around he is not important. What he can do for MC is. And MC is screaming on the sidelines, you don't have to do anything. Just stand there and look fucking pretty and hold my hand. Like, you don't, you don't have
Just look
to
pretty,
do anything.
honey.
Just be
Gonna look
pretty.
gorgeous.
Grow your chest out another couple of centimeters. Like,
let's talk about your pillowy man bosoms that I need in my life. It's like, damn.
Like, let me nuzzle your collarbones. You don't have to do anything. You could be my
MC
sugar
literally
baby.
got
I don't give a
feral.
shit. Like, it's good enough that you like to fly planes, and it's good enough that you get really nerdy around models. That's good enough, Caleb. You're good enough as you are. You're quirky, you're nerdy, and you are so rampantly insecure.
I appreciate the Colonel, but damn.
Like, it's okay. It's okay to put on loungewear and be like, here's my crazy glue and my little... Caleb is playing Warhammer. I swear to... He's got his little paintbrush, and he is happiest when he's sitting...
I still stand behind the fact that Zayne and Caleb are homies over Warhammer. I think Caleb would make the set and the toys, and Zayne is nerdy enough to be the one who absolutely works out. He's the DM.
Oh, yeah.
The GM. He's totally going to be like, okay, so you're walking here. How many feet? I want to roll for this. You can't. You're 20 feet away.
He would be JB. He'd absolutely games rule the hell everybody.
He'd have the map. Everything would be to scale. And Zayne is the kind of GM I love. But anyway, and they would nerd out about it together, and then they'd get MC into it.
Oh, absolutely. Like, it's okay to be a nerd, Caleb. You don't have to be the hero, save the world, and do all the things. The girl already is in love with you. You got the girl. The thing that every hero is trying to do outside of saving the world is get the girl. You got the girl. You got the girl from the cradle. You got the girl in the last life. You're going to get the girl in the next life. Like, the girl is yours. You won the game. Like, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to sacrifice anything. Caleb is good enough as Caleb, and I swear to God, she spends the entire time of their relationship screaming it at him in terms of, like...
To be fair, boy got some trauma from, being subject to trapped in a facility with her. And then you kind of look at the android myth and you go, I think this happened before.
Oh, yeah. No, the android myth just gives you an absolute hint of like, hey, so when Caleb said he was experimented on, and that one anecdote, this is what we mean. Probably darker.
Absolutely. Well, that was a fun romp into Caleb shenanigans and mythology.
Welcome to Mama Void completely overthinks Caleb's third myth and goes on a freaking bender.